So, you want to know the secret to VTubing? It's luck. The secret is luck. Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Long story short, I'm going on a pretty long vacation, so I feel the need to churn out some form of content so that my viewers don't rip me limb from limb. So in this video, I'm just going to be going over my experiences VTubing over the past 3 months, the things I learned firsthand and offhand, and things that were kind of interesting to know about during my journey. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I saw videos about this topic that were only 5 minutes long, and there's definitely more to VTubing which can be explained in under 5 minutes. I'm recording this around 4 AM, it's my first actual video, so again, sorry if this isn't like gourmet material. So about me, this is my performance chart. Everything's pretty accurate except for the average viewer count. A more generous estimate will be around 6 to 7 viewers on average. I think the thing that helped me the most was having a consistent stream schedule. So I went from streaming 2 days a week to 4 days a week, and for a bit I did back to back in around June, which is why the gain was pretty high, but you definitely feel the burnout, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. I eventually adopted a schedule where I streamed every other day, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday, save for some sick days which I would call off, but that was what helped me the most, being consistent and streaming more. You don't have to stream like 8 hours a day, that's way too much in my opinion. I think the sweet spot for streaming is around 2 to 3 hours, which is when Twitch will put you on the recommended channels list on a game category and the sidebar. But being consistent does help out a lot, and keep in mind, you will have bad streams and good streams, where you might have 3 average viewers compared to maybe 8. At the end of the day, I think it's all about luck. There are things you can do to improve your luck, like streaming more, but yeah, some person just blows up on Twitter and gets 1,000 followers off of one tweet. It's just the way things go. But moving on, there's a lot of stuff to unpack and go into detail, so I'm not going to do that as that would take way too long, so my bad if I miss some of the finer details of what I want to talk about. I don't think this video will be entirely helpful as it is more a personal vlog, you know, something you put in the background when you eat lunch or dinner, but I do hope something in it is helpful. I don't know who you are or why you're on this video. You're a viewer, a person aspiring to be a VTuber, whatever that might be. If you're just starting out, you need a good reason for streaming, otherwise why even bother doing it? So when you click that start streaming button, you have to ask yourself, why are you doing it in the first place? If you're streaming with the intention of making your full-time job, being as big as XQC or Kaizenat, you should probably stop now and save yourself the disappointment. As difficult as this may sound, you should only stream if you're genuinely having fun doing it, or you treat it as a hobby. If you're obsessing over the numbers like revenue or viewer count, just do yourself a favor and stop now. Look for yourself, look up Reddit Twitch quit or quitting, or any variation like that, and see for yourself how many people have stopped. I'm not saying that you can't stream for those reasons, but you are setting yourself up for disappointment. This is like 2012 where you can get away with uploading 500 videos of Minecraft Let's Plays. It's well known that this space is pretty oversaturated. Like, take a look at this chart on SteamDB for VTube Studio from 2021 to 2024. It's quite a number, and keep in mind, not everyone uses VTube Studio. This is how many people you're competing with. A lot of people want to be a streamer, but how many people want to be a viewer, can you say? If looking at that discourages you, then don't feel bad. It should. And that's why you have to treat it like a hobby and set your expectations abysmally low. I do think it's a bit disingenuous to say that you wouldn't be into this without expecting some form of growth, but these things take time. Chances are you're not even going to see significant results in a few days, weeks, or even months. It's like going to the gym. It's a slow but steady progress. The more time you spend doing your reps, the more progress you'll see. So the big takeaway is, things take time. It's not easy. If it were that easy, then everyone would be doing it. So what I really mean to say is, don't be sad if you don't get it right on your first try. Obsessing over perfection over your content will disappoint you, because it's never going to be perfect. When I first started out, I was upset about my English, the way I pronounced stuff, the way the streams went, but you just have to go with the flow and embrace the scuff you have. But always be open to improvement. Before anyone gets to the model stuff, I'm assuming you listen to everything I said beforehand about streaming for fun. Because I knew someone who spent thousands on their Twitch assets, like, they had a great startup. 300 followers on Twitch and 600 on Twitter even before they streamed once. Like, everything was built up around their debut. And after like 4 streams, they gave up and graduated. So when it comes to model stuff or just assets in general, don't worry too much about it. Especially if you're just starting out. Figure out if you like streaming or not before you spend hundreds or thousands on something that you don't even know you like yet. Assuming you like streaming, you don't have to drop like 2,000, 4,000, or even 10,000 on a model. Let alone stuff on panels, emotes. Like, have you seen some of the prices on VGen? Yeah, there's a pretty expensive entry point. Assuming the average VTuber isn't an oil prince, so spend some time sifting through VGen if you are in the market. It's pretty much the standard place to get artwork done safely. I spent a few days going through the listings. People are doing YCH emotes as high as $50 for 5, I found an amazing artist who did 15 of them for $40. If you're not filthy rich, then some of the other perfectly acceptable ways to get into VTubing is by using cheaper or free alternatives. PNGtubing is a very acceptable way to get into the streaming space. Those are those sets of static images of your character blinking and opening their mouth. Getting your PNG varies. You can commission it from people at a much lower cost than what a live 2D one would cost, and some people have made their own. I've seen some people use art from PitCrew, provided you do have to read and understand the artist's terms of use for it. You can use free software like VTube or PNGtuber Plus to do the motion work once you have your PNGs ready. VRoid, or is it VRoid? VRoid is another alternative where you have a 3D looking model. It's free to use and there's plenty of tutorials out there. If you want your model to stand out more, you do have to invest a bit more time in making it, having to do custom texturing and whatnot, but it's nonetheless a solid option. And if anyone gives you smack for using a PNGtuber or a VRoid model, F them. It's a perfectly fine way of VTubing. There are also live 2D options you can get for free or at a pretty cheap price. Again, be sure to read the artist's terms and conditions before you use them. Paid options can generally be found in places like booth.pm, and for free options, you'll have to just look around for them. There's this pretty neat live 2D option that I've seen a lot of people use. It's pretty customizable and neat looking, so a lot of options out there for you to start out with. When it comes to what to stream, that depends entirely on you. People want to watch you for you, and people will stick with you for being you. So stream what you want to pretty much. That said, people do need to discover you first, so if people don't know you exist, how are they going to watch you in the first place? So it's not the best idea to be streaming Apex Legends or Minecraft and hope someone clicking your channel out of the thousands there. It's also not in your best interest to stream things that you don't want to. If you decide to stream this game because it has like a good viewer to channel ratio, it probably could work, but people can and will tell if you're not having fun. But whatever you stream, go into it with full confidence. People will tell you to hide your viewer count, and you definitely should. Knowing where your viewer count does affect your confidence when streaming, and you're going to feel a bit bummed when you look over and see one viewer. One viewer or not, you should always be commentating and acting like you're making a YouTube video. Because at the end of the day, the most effective way of growing your discoverability is with offline content. But in conclusion, I don't know who you are or what you're doing. I don't have a precise answer for you, and I don't know what's the best for you. Only you can answer that. Think of it this way. If you're one of your own viewers, you have to ask yourself, why on earth would I watch you? What makes you stand out from everyone else? What are you good at, for instance? I've seen people who sing, I've seen people who dance, I've seen people do this. So think of something creative and unique. Criticize yourself and watch your own VODs. It does help out a lot. You can pinpoint audio issues if there aren't any, segments or bits that you could have done better. Essentially, just put yourself under a microscope. I personally hate listening to my own voice, so going through VODs is like hell on earth, but it does help tremendously. Networking, or as I like to call it, just making friends or peers in a community. If you're just starting out, it's pretty hard to try and nudge yourself into an existing community, but the best way you can grow on Twitch is to be in one. This entirely depends on what you're going to do in stream, but if you're playing a game with a niche community like an MMORPG, solely making content and streaming for that game is one way to cement yourself in one. But in general, when it comes to networking, I think there's this misconception out there that you have to spend your waking nights and days talking to everyone's Twitch chat or joining everyone's Discord server. You can do that, it's probably more effective that way, but for me, just being nice and supportive is enough. When I network with people, I just either raid, give them a follow, and just lurk in the chat. That's it. So in layman's terms, all you have to do is support other streamers, and they'll maybe support you back. I think it's well understood that everyone has their own busy schedule, so having 5 streams open and talking to every single one of them is pretty hard to do. So just try and support people whenever you can. It is good to let the other person know you're lurking. They might have a command for it, but I'm personally that kind of guy who just watches from the shadows. Naturally, what tends to happen for people starting out is their streams are usually full of other streamers and not necessarily viewers. But I do think that's perfectly normal. When you're just starting out, one of the more important things to do is to make friends and support each other's streams. You know, give them that extra viewer count for the better discoverability and vice versa. I followed some people in the past just for the sake of helping them reach that 50 follower goal, and some of them did follow back and stick around, which is kind of surprising since I only follow them once they're offline, so they don't get any notifications or anything. I think people do notice eventually, so I think a good mindset to get into is doing things without expecting anything in return. And if you do get something, that's the cherry on top. In terms of etiquette, it's not really rocket science. Just be a nice person. Don't say bad stuff, don't do bad stuff. More importantly, don't be controversial. Don't put yourself in any position that might be considered controversial. you know, politics, you know what I mean. If we're talking more specific stuff, I guess there's a few more things I can elaborate on. One of them is being nice to your community. So respond to stuff, make them feel welcome in your streams. But remember that you are the streamer and they're the viewer. So set some limits if you have to with your audience so they aren't like DMing you privately. Because I've had that happen before and it's kind of awkward. I guess there's raid etiquette. Like if you get raided, be sure to thank them and shout them out, whatever. There's a /shouter command or whatever custom commands you have set up. Just welcome them, ask them how the stream went, all that good stuff. Just keep in mind that whoever's raiding you is probably done for the day, so say a few things to them, like respond to stuff like how's your stream, but I know some people are super tired and whatnot. I know someone, including me, who end our streams at around 5 or 6 in the morning. If you are raiding, try to have a raid message, just something for your viewers who pretty much spam in their chat. Some people leave right after raiding. It's called raiding and dipping, and it's fine. At least I think so. Leave a message saying you've got to go if you have to. I personally like to give them a follow as well, and check them out during a better time. Don't call out your lurkers in chat. If they're lurking in your chat, they are lurking for a reason. To wrap things up, I'll just be going over some stuff that doesn't really fit in too well under any of the categories I talked about, but are so interesting to hear about, like offline content and stuff. Offline content is very important. I would say the most important thing for discoverability is offline content. So not multi-streaming, not posting a Twitch link on Twitter, but actual content that you put out on TikTok or YouTube. Recently, at the time I'm finishing up this video, there was someone who hadn't hit affiliate yet because they only streamed for 3 days out of the 7 needed, and they already had an average viewer count of 85 with a follower count of 1,000. Most of their success came from making TikTok shorts, so offline content is pretty important. Always try to put out content on places like YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, wherever you want, but it can't just be VODs. You have to do more than just put out unedited VODs and calling it a day. Some people like to do debut, which is a special event where you unveil your new model, or you introduce yourself to the first time to an audit. I don't think a lot of people bother doing debuts to start with. I think it's well known that you need to establish an audience for people to even show up. Again, think of how many new VTubers that start streaming every day. You can promote yourself on Reddit, some Discords, Twitter, but it's very likely there won't really be a large audience unless you're part of the super lucky few. So save yourself the crushing disappointment. You can always do something like this later down the road. It's good to know what time slots are, but I wouldn't really recommend caring too much about it. Time slots are what time you decide to stream. If you stream at 9 in the morning, that's your time slot. I'm including this part because there are notable time slots that can get you more traction. For instance, if I check the English category for Team Fortress 2 at around like 6 PM, there are around 40 channels and more. But if I check the category for Team Fortress 2 at 1 AM, there are only around 5 to 10 channels. So if you want to be discovered, that's something to keep in mind. But I would not recommend ruining your sleep schedule or your personal life over it. Collabs are pretty nice to do, but I don't think they're overly beneficial. Collabs will just come naturally in the same way you would make friends while streaming. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, then no worries. There are some Discord servers out there with places for you to ask for collabs, but try not to come across as too desperate. Collabs can be fun and can help kill some of the dead air while streaming, but in terms of viewership, I don't think it really does much. Like, you might get some people over there from the other person's stream. Some people might like it or not. It's just something to consider, but it's not necessary to grow. If you're sure to make friends, then absolutely go for it. The term VTuber just means someone who's terminally online more than they stream, or they don't stream at all and practically build their following off of Twitter. As a VTuber, you're either drama posting or making posts like this all the time. There is a negative stigma associated with VTubers for a reason. Just posting the engagement rate 24/7 for follows or creating some drama. I mean, it does work, like stuff like that shows up on my timeline all the time, so good for you if you do. Just don't do it all the time. You might make people upset. Twitter is pretty important for giving your community updates, but I feel like it's worth mentioning that part of VTubing. Speaking of Twitter, GFX bots. Those bots that follow you on Twitter with a barren wasteland of a profile that only says artist or making your dreams come to life. Yeah, those are con artists. People will come into the chat, give you a follow, and then ask if you need art, something done, add them on Instagram to chat. 99% of the time, all scammers. So be cautious out there. Don't buy into the whole best viewer things either. Better yet, don't view bot or follow bot. It's extremely obvious if you do. And again, I see call-out posts every other week on Twitter. And lastly, Opsec. Just making sure that people don't dox you later down the road. It's good to remember that as a streamer, you are a public figure, and the last thing you want is bad people looking at your personal life. Do your own judgment or research on this. If you're going to use a handle you've used since, 2006 as your streaming handle, make sure you realize the risk and choose what you think is fine and not fine to show on stream. So Steam IDs, emails, even your own name. Draw the line somewhere if you are worried. But that's it. Thank you for watching through my incredibly boring presentation. If you have any comments or feedback or even video ideas, I definitely need more video ideas. Please leave them down below. I hope this fulfills your content for the month, and I'll see you all once I'm back home. Take care and be well.